The strange symbols carved into the mask glowed faintly, as if alive. His heart pounded so hard he could feel it in his throat, but he knew he couldn't turn back now. "I have to do this," he whispered again, though his voice was barely more than a breath. His hand trembled as he reached out and finally touched the mask. Nothing happened at first. Obinna waited, every muscle in his body tense, but the shrine remained silent. The mask stayed cold and still under his fingers. For a brief moment, Obinna thought that maybe it had all been a horrible dream, a nightmare that would fade with the morning light. But as he started to pull his hand away, something changed. The air in the shrine shifted, growing even heavier. The light filtering through the cracks in the walls dimmed until the room was almost completely dark. Then, without warning, the mask began to glow brighter, the strange symbols pulsing with a rhythm that seemed to match the beating of Obinna's heart. A voice, deep and ancient, echoed in the room. It wasn't coming from the mask itself, but from everywhere at once, surrounding Obinna and filling his ears. "You dare to return, mortal," the voice rumbled, making the ground beneath Obinna's feet tremble. "You who defied the warnings of your ancestors and touched what was forbidden." Obinna's knees buckled and he dropped to the ground, bowing his head. His heart raced and his mouth was dry, but he forced himself to speak. I didn't know. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I need you to reverse the curse. I beg you." The voice was silent for a moment, and Obinna dared to look up. The mask seemed to be staring straight into his soul, the glowing symbols twisting and shifting in ways that made his head spin. "You seek to undo what has been done," the voice said, colder now, "but the price has already been paid. The curse cannot be lifted so easily." Obinna's heart sank. "Please," he whispered, his voice cracking with desperation. "I'll do anything. Just tell me what I have to do." The air grew colder, and Obinna shivered. The voice returned, quieter now, almost whispering. "There is a way," it said slowly, "but it is not without danger. If you wish to regain what you have lost, you must face the spirits of the ancestors. They guard the balance between this world and the next, and they do not forgive easily." Obinna's mind raced. Face the spirits of the ancestors. He had no idea what that meant or how he would do it. But he knew he had no choice. This was his only chance to undo the curse and reclaim his life. "I'll do it," Obinna said, trying to sound braver than he felt. "I'll face them. Whatever it takes." The voice rumbled again, this time with a hint of dark amusement. "Very well, mortal. But know this, the path you have chosen is perilous. Few who walk it ever return. You will be tested, and the spirits will show no mercy." Before Obinna could respond, the ground beneath him suddenly gave way. He cried out as he fell, tumbling into darkness. The air rushed past him, cold and biting, and he had the sickening feeling that he was falling deep into the earth. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the fall stopped. Obinna hit the ground hard, the breath knocked out of him. He gasped for air, his chest heaving as he tried to regain his bearings. The world around him was pitch black, but he could hear voices, whispers, angry and accusing, coming from all directions. "Who disturbs the spirits?" one voice hissed. "Who dares enter the realm of the ancestors?" Another growled. Obinna forced himself to stand, his legs shaky beneath him. I am Obinna," he said, his voice trembling. "I seek to undo the curse that has been placed upon me. I was wrong to enter the shrine, but I beg for your mercy." The whispers grew louder, circling him like a storm. Shadows began to take shape around him, shifting and swirling, forming the vague outlines of figures. These were the spirits of his ancestors, the guardians of the shrine, and they were not pleased. "You defied the warnings," one of the spirits said, its voice sharp and cold. "You showed no respect for the old ways." "You are a fool," another spirit spat. "You thought you could enter our sacred space without consequence." Obinna bowed his head. "I know I was wrong, I know I was foolish, but please give me a chance to make it right. I will do whatever you ask." The spirits were silent for a moment, and then one of them spoke again, its voice softer this time, almost sorrowful. "There is one way," it said, "but it is not a path we would wish on anyone. You must journey to the land of the forgotten, where the most ancient and powerful spirits dwell. Only they have the power to break the curse." Obina's heart skipped a beat. The land of the forgotten. He had heard stories of that place, a realm where even the bravest warriors feared to go. It was said to be a place of darkness and despair, where lost souls wandered for eternity. "How do I get there?" Obina asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The spirits shifted around him, their forms flickering like candle flames. "You will be guided," one of them said, "but be warned, the journey is long and many do not survive. If you fail, you will be trapped in the land of the forgotten forever, lost to the world of the living." Obina swallowed hard, fear tightening his chest. But he knew he had no choice. If he wanted to break the curse, he would have to face whatever dangers lay ahead. "I understand," he said, trying to steady his voice. "I will go." The spirits began to fade, their whispers growing distant. "Then go, Obina," one of them said, "and may the ancestors have mercy on your soul." Before Obina could respond, the ground beneath him shifted again, and he was falling once more, tumbling through the darkness. This time, he didn't scream. He simply closed his eyes and let the void swallow him whole. When he finally landed, the world around him was different. The air was colder, the darkness thicker, and the silence more oppressive. Obina knew he had arrived in the land of the forgotten. With a deep breath, he stood up and looked around. He could see nothing but shadows stretching endlessly in all directions. There was no path, no guide, only an overwhelming sense of loneliness and despair. But Obina had made his choice. He had come too far to turn back now. Squaring his shoulders, he began to walk into the darkness, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Little did he know that this journey would test him in ways he had never imagined, pushing him to the brink of his strength, his courage, and his very humanity. Obina walked through the darkness, his every step echoing in the emptiness around him. The cold air pressed against his skin, and each breath felt heavy, as though the air itself didn't want him there. He could still hear the faint whispers of the spirits, though now they seemed distant, like echoes from another world. His mind raced with fear and doubt, but he pushed them aside. He had made a promise, to himself and to the spirits, and he would see it through. The land of the forgotten was even more desolate than he had imagined. The shadows seemed to move on their own, twisting and shifting. But whenever Obina tried to focus on them, they disappeared, melting back into the darkness. Whatever happened next? There was no turning back now. Eager to find out what happened next in this story. Comment continue below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with our latest releases. We truly appreciate your love and support so far. Let's keep the fire burning.